Have you checked out ChevetteReport.com? It's the newest cigar media outlet to keep you in the know with all things cigar lifestyle related. From press releases to reviews, we have it all covered. Be some of our first members to join ChevetteReport.com and be a part of the next step in the cigar culture. ChevetteReport.com. Welcome back. I forgot to have my music playing and ready for you guys. I got it. My Jay Bates would be so upset if he was here on time. Where is it at? Here it is. This one? Yep, it's that one. Welcome into the show. I know. It's been forever since we've had a show. We were actually going to have a show last week, and about 10 minutes before the show, we had to pull the plug. So many people reached out, checked on us, made sure everything was all right. We're all right. Just had some things that we had to take care of. So I hate that I had left so many people just kind of like they're ready for the show, and then I pulled the plug, and it made me sad to not be able to be with you guys last week. But here we are, back in studio, back on Thursday night, 8:15 Eastern Daylight Time. We're about to go back to Standard Time. I am so glad to be back. If you are on Facebook, do go share this to all your Facebook smoke pages. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button. I saw Michael Zakovic was over there on Facebook a minute ago, so I was sharing it. So Michael Zakovic, thank you for hitting the love button over on Facebook. Appreciate it greatly. I also hit the love button myself just to make sure. We're Charles Addison. Thank you for sliding over and hitting that like button on Facebook. So Adam Wolf can't stay tonight, celebrating his sister's birthday. Catch y'all next week. Adam Wolf, if you watch this post, hopefully it was a great time. Gary Zanstra, hello everyone. Hope you are all having a good week. So far, so good. Fall is finally here. I am so excited for fall to be back. Charles Adamson, hi guys, what's going on? Brian came in fourth. The plenty face. Good evening, gents. Mac Bergson back in the building. What is going on? Michael Carter, for you, buddy. Hopefully you're doing well. Banker John, good evening, y'all. Hope everyone affected by the hurricane was seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, we haven't had a show since the hurricane. Hunter Otts, good to see you last 2 weekends ago. Same for you, Charles Addison, as well. Got to see both you guys last week. Aloha. Brian bringing that summertime weather. Hey, let's go party time. Taking shots at Jay Bates, a working man disgrace. Working. I'm glad you got a clip of that. I am glad you got a clip of that. Let's see. Hunter Otts hit the love button over on Facebook. Greatly appreciate that. I'm going to come over here and cut off the music and come back to a full. Ooh, it is so dark in here. I didn't realize how dark it was going to be. I don't know where my remote. Oh, I'm a ding dong. There we go. A little brighter, a little better there. There we go. Owl Chief is out of the dark. I am so happy to see you all. I'm so happy to be back. I am so happy that everything has kind of calmed back down. Obviously, our last show was with Law Ream, Mr. Zeno Man himself. Actually, probably would have been better. I thought it was going to show up on camera better. Mr. Zeno Man himself was in studio with us a couple weeks ago. And that was our last show. And that was actually the night before the hurricane. Once the show went off, it was around 10:15, 10:30 when the show went off, or whatever time it was. I actually stayed here in studio with Bob the Cigar Guy, the First Lady. She stayed with us for a little bit. She didn't hang out very long. But we stayed out here and hung out till about 1:30 in the morning. And before I go any farther with my story, I want to know, what are you smoking? What are you drinking? Obviously, you already saw that I'm drinking some Dr. Pepper, and I'm going to be smoking this Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve. I'm wearing the Pappy hat, hunting hat, gift from Jamie Vaughn years ago. No, you didn't miss anything. Just me a little slanderizing. Jay Bates, thanks for hitting the love button over on Facebook. Gary Zamster, thanks for hitting the like button over on Facebook. We got some McAuliffe Black going down. But as I get back into story time, please do let me know, what are you smoking? What are you drinking? What you getting into? I want to know. So stayed here at the studio till about 1:30 in the morning. And during the show, we had noticed like the rain had picked up pretty significantly. We could hear it out there. Because my mom was in the studio, we actually left the door open in between the studio and the shop so that the smoke would evacuate out a little easier. And so we could hear the storm going out there. And about 1 o'clock, I looked at my radar and I was like, yeah, I probably should start heading home here soon. How about that new Colibri glider, man? That tabletop lighter is awesome. Got some more. Jamie Vaughn, thanks for love over on Facebook as well. Charles Adamson smoking Placencia Alma Fuerte, drinking a black Manhattan. Nice. But about 1 o'clock, I looked at my little weather app with the radar on it, and it looked like I was going to get a pretty nasty band of storms within like an hour or two. So I was like, I really need to get home just in case, because we could see it was windy, any trees come down or anything. So after we said our goodbyes and lost sign the studio, and I got out of here. And I decided, it's probably a safe bet. I just go ahead and take all of the normal roads, all of the main roads back home instead of my normal back road, law breaking machine roads. Call them my whiskey run roads. Because I usually, it's easier to take the surface roads, but it's a lot quicker to take my back roads because there's no stoplights, a few stop signs, and there's usually nobody out there that's going to stop you if you do run through a stop sign, or California stop sign, right? Not completely blow through it. Chief was taking shots. Jay, I got you back though. So I ended up getting home right around 2 o'clock. No issues. All the power was still on, and got home, got into bed. Everything was great. Woke up right at 7 o'clock. And it's funny, I feel like I've told this story a million times now, but because we haven't had Chief Talk since the day before the storm, I feel like I've really got to tell you guys all about the storm. I think it's funny, there's always been these memes about like Southerners in the South and things that'll wake them up in the middle of the night. And it's like gunshots outside doesn't wake up the Southerner. Dogs barking outside doesn't wake up the Southerner. Fire alarms and fire trucks going by doesn't wake up the Southerner. But as soon as that fan in the bedroom cuts off, boom, Southerners right up. 7:07 a.m. Friday morning, my power cuts out. My fan goes off in my bedroom, and I poop my eyes right open. As a poof, not a poop. I don't poop my eyes open. I poof my eyes open. Gonna go ahead and get ahead of the curve because Mac is here tonight. Jay Bates says no smoking, but I have my 6 milligram Rogue peppermint in. Ooh. So I poofed my peepers open, and I looked out. Our bedroom is right above the garage, and it looks down our driveway, down to the drive that comes into where our house is, the cul-de-sac, and we've got a forest on one side of the house that goes downhill, slopes downhill to a river, and then there's a somewhat, it's not a main road, but it's not like a tiny back road that is down the hill from our house that goes over the river on a bridge. So I was just looking, and the wind was doing its thing, and I'm just watching trees go 6 feet this way, 6 feet that way, 6 feet back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm like, man, that's some pretty solid wind out there. So I go downstairs, and my wife was like, look, if you want coffee hot, go ahead and get it now, because I just made a pot right before the power went out. Go get my daily coffee cup, fill it with coffee, open up the screen, or the main door to the house. We've got a glass door, we don't have a screen door, but it's a full glass door, right? Kind of like the door out of the studio into the shop, big glass door, just like that. So I open that up, and I turn the chair, and I'm just watching the trees go back and forth. And there's all sorts of little bitty limbs and leaves down and whatnot, but nothing too terrible that we've noticed. So I told my wife, I was like, hey, I'm gonna go check out by the road and see if I can see anything with the power on. Because again, we didn't have any power. So walk outside after putting my rain jacket on. It was raining pretty good. Wind was blowing. Walk down to see where the river is that runs to the bottom of the property, and it was up. It was up very high. Now, it had been raining since Tuesday evening. It kind of had taken a little bit of a break on Thursday. But Wednesday night, we got a big old gully wash. And so we had already kind of had our river up a couple feet, which is normal because where our river is at is a floodplain. And there's about a foot difference from where the river is to where the banks are, because it's kind of, instead of it being like the river kind of gently comes up on the bank, kind of like beachy or something like that, our river is actually just kind of cut down. And so there's a couple spots that have been dug down to be like a small type beach entryway into the creek. Or it's more than a creek. It's not a big river, but I call it river just because of how deep it is and how fast it moves. So see down there, and the water's up, and I'm like, well, let me go check out to the drive, because at the bottom of our driveway, like I said, we're at the end of the cul-de-sac. At the bottom of our driveway, you can look down another hill, and that's where the main road kind of goes in front of our house that crosses over that river. And the power lines run right through there. So maybe I can see a tree down or something, whatever. So I get down to the end of the driveway, don't see anything out on the main drive, walk back up to the house, and talking with my wife, talking with my kids about everything we see, and going through, and I hear this big thud. So I walk outside and I look, and I don't see anything. So I told my wife, I was like, hey, I'm going to walk down the drive of our cul-de-sac that goes out to the main road, and just check on the neighbors, make sure everything's okay. So I get out, and as soon as I make it down to the end of the driveway and turn to go out of our neighborhood, small little neighborhood, there are 8 pine trees, and mixed pine trees, maybe a couple Bradford pears, but mostly just these nasty, knotty little pine trees that have blown down across the driveway. Oh crap, we can't get out of here. And of course, we're at 20. We have to start the streak back. We are at 1. We did not hit 20 our last stream when Law Ream was here. The highest we got that night was 16. So we're having to reset our 20 streak. So back to 1. But we got 35 episodes, well, 34 episodes in a row this year, not including what was last year. What's going on, Big J? How you doing, brother? How's your dad? He wants a recount. No, but it was sad. I was sad that the streak did not go, but with as many people that were dealing with the hurricane, it was acceptable. So maybe we'll call it the hurricane effect, and we'll just overlook that stat. I don't know. You guys let me know. So go back to the house. Tell my wife what's going on. We don't have a chain. We don't have a chainsaw big enough for the trees that we had. I have an electric Craftsman pole saw, which is a great pole saw. I can get through some 6-8 inch sections of branches, no problem. I've cut down a couple trees that were real small at the base, just laid them over, lopped them down. But we were looking at 12, 14, 16 inch trees, and a lot of them, a lot of tree, long tree. And so called my parents once I finally got some cell phone signal, because again, our power was out. Called my Steve Harvey. What's going on, brother? How you doing this evening? All is well. Hope you are doing well. I know a guy who can get you a great deal on Milwaukee chainsaw. No, I think for the chainsaw, Mac, I'm gonna go with gas powered, because I don't have enough M18 batteries to be like, oh yeah, I could run out and go do that and run a chainsaw for hours and hours and hours like I did with the gas saw. And I don't have the budget to buy as many M18 batteries as I would need. Rick Carroll, thanks for hitting the love button over on Facebook. Steve Harvey, Joy Van Noorstrand, and Dina Faisano, thank you for hitting the like button over on Facebook. But I told you, Mac, I'd be probably consulting you for some Milwaukee stuff in the future. Because I have since made a new hurricane list. Growing up, as a kid from Florida whose parents were born and raised in Florida, it was like we respected hurricanes, but we never like really did anything special for the hurricanes, just because, especially in this area, because hurricanes just don't make it that powerful into this area. They'll come up and they'll drop a lot of water, but never the combination of the water and the wind that we got. Now, Western North Carolina got the brunt of the water, because all of those towns are built in the valleys of the mountains, right? So all that water's got to go down. Where I live in the foothills, all of the wind smashed into us and kind of stopped while the rain continued on over the mountain. While we didn't get the nearly as devastating floods as they did, which we had some pretty devastated areas here in Greenville, nowhere near as bad as some of the stuff that you guys have seen online about Western North Carolina. But we got some, the wind was really bad. I've never seen so many down trees in my life. I mean, we still have down trees everywhere. We still have communities that don't have internet. Yeah, they've got power, but internet has not come back to those communities yet. Doing good, just starting to chill out in Michigan. Yeah, it's 51 degrees right now in the upstate of South Carolina. Charles Adamson, big guy like you need one of those 25-inch, 125cc logger chainsaws. Yeah, but then I got to pay like $2,200 for a chainsaw. So mom and dad had been talking about getting some steel chainsaws, and so they ended up getting to go up to Ace Hardware here in town, or here in Travelers Rest. And they were able, the Ace Hardware, I guess, had power. And so they went up there and they got 2 chainsaws, great steel chainsaws. And they, luckily they were, able to take that on and get that. So they decided to come over to my side of town and try to help free us out of our drive. because I didn't have any of my chains for my truck to pull the trees if I wanted to pull the trees. All I have in my truck are tow straps. So I need to remember to go to my storage unit probably within the next, month or so, or week. I don't know. Where the chances of us getting the hurricane like we just got ever again are probably slim to none. But wouldn't that just be how it is? You say that, and then all of a sudden the next big hurricane that comes up this way is another one of those. So I have chains, diesel chains, a couple 100 feet worth of chains. I just need to carry them with me. So anyways, long story short, Mom and Dad, it normally takes about 30 minutes to get from the studio to my house where I live. It took my parents almost 3 hours to get across from their side of town to my side of town, with all the road closures, bridges washed out, trees across roads, all sorts of stuff like that. So they did end up coming over, and dad bought a saw, mom bought a saw. They have their matching saws, and it was a good time being able to run chainsaws and not only free ourselves out, but free our neighbors out, free the people out around us who live in our community. In the following days, we were able to go to my sister's apartment and cut up some trees over there. Mom and Dad had a tree fall here, so we came and took care of that. I had a family in my church who had some trees that were falling over and destroying their fence and running into power lines. So we went over there and helped deal with some of that. So it was wild. It was crazy. But yeah, chainsaws definitely at the top. Well, it's like the third thing on my list now. Generator is number one. I've done a fair amount of research since I've been able to have internet and power since the storm about some generators and which ones people suggest or which ones you should go with, and reviews. And I think I perused probably 10 websites of ranking generators, and 6 of the 10 had the same one at the top, and the other 4 had it as number 2, 3, or 4. That's the save up plan. Is to save it for a generator, save it for a chainsaw, save it for Milwaukee battery things. That was kind of a saving grace before we ended up getting our generator. We got our generator 4 days in, 3 days in, 4 days in. 3 days in. Yeah, 3 days in. We got a generator in 3 days. So by that time, we had lost everything in our refrigerator, and our freezer had started to thaw. Luckily, we were able to keep intact most of our stuff in our freezer, and we had propane for the grill outside. But yeah, the generator that I'm looking at is both a gasoline generator, but it can also run off of propane or natural gas. So it's actually not even super duper expensive like some of the generators I did see. So that's at the top of the list, because not having power to run a fan to sleep at night is the worst thing. Because my wife would kill me if she was watching right now. I have determined what the most irritating sound in the world is. And that is when you are trying to sleep and can't sleep, but the person in the bed with you is sleeping so well that they're snoring away, and their snores allow you to not go to sleep. That was Friday night. It was hot. It was muggy. I wish we kind of had the weather we're having now a couple weeks ago. Like I said, it's been in the lower 50s, higher 40s, barely cresting into the 60s for the past few days. So it's been really nice. But when the hurricane came, it was like, no, we're going to give you our last little heat. Let's see. I never thought I needed a chainsaw until I saw all the work you and Bob were doing. Yeah, I'm surprised that I've gone this long without a chainsaw. There was a time where I had, I think it was the first stimulus check in 2020? I think it was the first stimulus check that came out. I had the Milwaukee battery chainsaw in an Ace Hardware virtual cart, and ended up not pulling the trigger just because I don't remember what we ended up spending the money on, but it was not a chainsaw. And we were living in an apartment at that point in time, so I was like, where are we going to put this thing? What are we going to need a chainsaw for? Now that I'm no longer in an apartment, probably a good idea to have one. Milwaukee just announced a 20-inch chainsaw. And I'm sure you can get it to me for a solid $100 off. And I would appreciate that if I had the ability to buy it. But I think I'm going to spend money on a nice gas saw first. Be safe and stay away from those power lines. I worked for utility for 40 years and could tell you some horror stories. So they weren't on the power lines. They were leaning towards the power lines. And thankfully, honestly, for the week after the hurricane came through, there was no rain, there was no wind, weather was pretty good, hot during the day, nice at night. They were just leaning over towards the power lines. They hadn't touched the power lines yet. And so we were trying to, or the attempt was to get as many of they are Leland cypresses. And so the goal was to get as many of them off of the fence, leaning that way as possible. So it was about 4 hours of work that we were able to do and get all the Leland cypresses from leaning all the way over and pushing down on the power lines. I will send it to you. I know a guy who can get you a great deal on a Milwaukee fan. So that is also on my list, because what ended up happening was we came over to mom and dad's house because they weren't out of power very long at all. They got power back pretty quick the next day, that Saturday. So we ended up coming over, getting hot showers, hot baths for Shannon and the kids. And when we went back home, we took a bunch of the Ryobi batteries and some Ryobi fans and some Ryobi lights. But yeah, that's one of the things on my list are more Milwaukee battery powered things that aren't like drills and saws and all sorts of things like that, like some lights and fans and things that you can actually use inside the house in a hurricane type sort of situation. I got a Furman Tri-Fuel at Costco for $900, big enough to run the whole house. Nice. If you ever have chainsaw maintenance questions, hit me up. Absolutely. There was a part, like I had to, once I finally, it was the fourth day running the chainsaw or so, the third day running the chainsaw. When we were able to finally get to a store that had a file that would fit the chainsaw chain that was on the saw that I was using. Dad's saw it's bigger than mom's saw. But the first time I filed, I was just going back and forth filing. And then I finally got on YouTube and realized that you're just supposed to file like just one direction. Obviously, you flip it with the teeth and you go. And I knew to go with the angle. But once I watched a video that said if you run the chainsaw file through each tooth 3 times every time you fill up for gas, you're never going to run into a dull saw. And so since then, I have experienced that firsthand. So 5-10 minutes worth of work, and hey, it made it worth it. So it's now $9.99. Generator product, the 9400 watt peak tri-fuel. I have a Craftsman 16-inch. In hindsight, I wish I would have gotten a Stihl or Husqvarna. Francesco, my boy, how's it going? Welcome back to the United States of America, man. Glad to have you back. Obviously, we love all of the content you make from Italy, but we love having you back stateside. Welcome back. Glad your travels were safe. I know old Gigi's happy to have you back. Give her my love as well, please. But yeah, once the power came back, it was another 24 hours plus an hour before our internet came back. So that was kind of weird for our kids to kind of understand. Well, just because the lights are on and the refrigerator's working doesn't mean that the internet's going to work or the TV's going to work. I kind of really enjoyed not having internet and TV for my kids. Like, it was nice to just be able to say, well, let's go outside. And like, it was good for my wife and I too, because we just went outside and we're with the kids. Like, we didn't have to worry about phone calls because we didn't have any phone service. When we don't have internet, our phone service sucks in our house. Everywhere else in our area, our phone service is fantastic, tremendous. But for whatever reason, right in our house, it is just a dead zone. So, it wasn't like we even had the ability to do, Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or anything like that on our phones. So we just went outside and cut up trees and made piles of sticks and burned stuff, helped our neighbors. It's the first time I've talked to many of my neighbors. So it was really, really I enjoyed the discomfort. I actually became fond of cold showers. Something I did not have on my 2024 bingo card. Growing fond of cold showers, but here I am. Fantastic. If you connect the gen to your house, you have to have a transfer and lockout switch to be sure you don't backfeed the grid. Yeah. So when it comes to the generator, I don't think I want a generator that I could run my whole house on. I'm not looking to put out that much power, because when we got the generator on Sunday night, we powered up the fridge, we powered the freezer, we powered a couple other accessories to be able to charge things, and that was it. We had the ability to power up some more stuff. I wish I would have powered my window unit air conditioner. Thinking back on it, it's like, why did I not power my air conditioner? Living above a garage during the summertime in South Carolina, no matter how insulated your house is a terrible thing. And so we have, it's a floor unit, but it connects to the window via a tube. And it does great. It's a fantastic air conditioner. And I wish I wasn't such an idiot and I would have just plugged that bad boy in as well. But yeah, more drop cords are on the list. More Milwaukee battery powered stuff. More Milwaukee batteries. All that kind of stuff. Photo step here, my boy, Mike. What's going on, brother? So that's pretty much it for the hurricane aspect of my life. It was a solid 6 days of working, and I did have some very close friends reach out to me and check on me. I actually had a wonderful friend want to contribute to the financial burden of having to go out to eat instead of having food at your house, or replenishing gas, or things that were being used and utilized during the recovery time, 5-6 days worth. So that was greatly appreciated. I'm not somebody who likes to accept things, and so I had to wrestle with it for a while, but I am thankful, and that friendship is very near and dear to me, and I'm very appreciative of that person and who they are. It speaks a lot about their character, and I really appreciate that person. But the chaos of all of the thoughts of, like, when I travel for Barn Smokers or PCA or just travel in general during the summertime, like, I am somebody who I like nitpick all of the things that I'm packing, and so I always leave my laundry to be like the last thing I do before I go, because I want to make sure the clothes that I take are clean. I want to make sure they're, I have them, and I've got things like, underwear accounted for, socks accounted for, blah, blase. Well, we don't have power. You can't run your washing machine and your dryer. We had water. We never lost water. But we ended up not getting power back until Monday night. And then even then it was like, that laundry wasn't the first thing on our list, and knowing that we were going to go and still go out into the community and help and do stuff, it was like, well, I'll just wait and get all that, charge my batteries for my camera, make sure everything's, when you don't have power for 4 days and no internet for 5 days, like the house just easily gets messy at first, because there's no lights. So it's like, you don't see the mess. Well, as soon as the lights all come back on, it's like, holy crap, what have we been living in for the past week? So usually I have a little bit of like, anticipation of the trip that I'm coming up to, and anxiety of, do I have everything? And it's like, because of the hurricane, because of the storm, and the effort to get out and do all the stuff that we were doing, I just didn't even worry about that until the night before we left. So it was kind of like a weird silver lining, blessing in disguise kind of sort of thing. We drove to the Kentucky Barn Smoker. So now we'll flip over to the Kentucky Barn Smoker. Also, if anybody is smoking something or drinking something different than when we started almost 40 minutes ago, please do let me know. I am smoking the Pappy Van Winkle, not only because I'm wearing the old school Pappy hat. It's also because we had the Kentucky Barn Smoker, and if you don't know, the Pappy Van Winkle Family Reserve barrel fermented cigar uses Kentucky Fire Cured dark tobacco as the tapa negra, because there's two wrapper leaves on this cigar, and this is the one that gets aged in the Perique barrels down in the parishes in Louisiana. So that's another reason why I'm smoking this cigar, but it is treating me well. Truly a delight to have. So now, transitioning from Hurricane to Barn Smoker, it was a great trip. We had decided months ago. Matt Brugger with the Adventura Blue Eye Jack's Revenge with a Dr. Pepper. It was kind of fun when all my neighbors started texting to ask how my lights were on during the last big windstorm here. So we had decided weeks before the Kentucky Barn Smoker that we were actually going to drive, because the drive is normally right at 6 hours. Now we knew our drive was going to change, because the one of the roads that we take normally to the Kentucky Barn Smoker is up through Asheville, over the mountain, over to Knoxville, and then through Tennessee. And we had seen all the devastation that had gone on with I-40, and so we typed it in our map quest, and it said, yeah, we're gonna have to go down through Atlanta, instead of just going up and over. We're gonna have to go down, over, up, and back and forth, whatever. So it added on some time to our trip, but we left. And also to describe, or to add to the story, with the 6 hours that we had anticipated on, that was about the same amount of time it was going to take for us to get up. What's going on, Chris Ruiz? To get up, get to the airport, park, get into the airport, check in, go through security, fly to Charlotte over to Nashville, get out of Nashville airport, rent a car, and then drive the hour from Nashville up to Hopkinsville, Kentucky. It was going to be about the same time, so driving was just going to be less of a hassle. And our trip there really wasn't bad. We left at 1:45 in the morning that Friday morning. Had to drive all the way down to Atlanta. Got to Atlanta, no problem. No traffic. Obviously, 4 o'clock in the morning. There's not much Atlanta traffic. Got up to Chattanooga, no problem. Chattanooga was great. There's a mountain in between Chattanooga and Nashville that you have to go up and down. That was fine, no problem. And then we got into Nashville right at 8 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning. So that kind of sucked that we had gotten to Nashville right at the morning rush commute. And Nashville's not a tiny city, right? So once we finally got through Nashville, it's only a 45-minute drive north up to Hopkinsville, Kentucky. And it was great. Now, the ride back was 11 hours, which sucked tremendously. We hit traffic in Nashville. We hit traffic in Chattanooga. We hit traffic in Atlanta. We hit traffic in Greenville. I mean, we anywhere you could hit traffic, we hit traffic. So we were kind of kicking ourselves, saying, "Dang it, if we'd have just flown, we'd have been all right." So Florida next month, what, 3 weeks? By golly, we ain't. We are not driving. We're gonna fly. So it's actually kind of funny. Some of the people that had flown out late that night from Nashville landed and were on their way back home by the time we finally pulled up here in Travelers Rest. And then I had another 40 minutes to drive once I got here. But no, the Kentucky Barn Smoker was great. Storms are a great opportunity to focus on what's important in life. No, you're absolutely right, Mac. Absolutely right. 100% agree. Couldn't agree more. No disagreeing there. I really enjoyed the time that, because the storm had come through on a Friday, they had already canceled school for that Friday. It was going to be an e-learning day, but as soon as the internet went out, they realized teachers weren't going to be able to teach, or students weren't going to be able to get on to be taught. And then the following week after that, they canceled school the whole entire week as well. So I had the chance to be at home with family and not worry about Shanna having to go off to work or the kids being at school, and we got to we got the opportunity to just be a little family unit, our little family of 5. I really enjoyed that, getting to play outside and do a lot of stuff, cooking outside on the fire and doing some homemade s'mores. And that was one of the things Jackson wanted to do the most, was like cook on the outdoor fire. And we either ate out or ate on the grill. And the one time that we actually cooked outdoors in the fire pit was the first night that we had gotten power back. So it was like we went and cut all the lights off inside the house to act like we didn't have power, and we went outside and cooked outside. So it was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that. Charles Adamson, did Milton hit the farm in Claremont? I haven't seen anything posted by anybody. I haven't seen. I've gotten no communications from anybody to say that the storm was going to affect the barn smoker at all. So I know that some of the beach communities suffered pretty good with Milton, with the sand being pushed in and whatnot. But Mac would have to really be like our boots on the ground guy. I know he said he slept through both of them. When I reached out to him when Milton hit, he said he was doing fine. I think they were inconvenienced by some power outages. But I haven't heard anything negative from the hurricane hitting the Orlando Claremont area at all. But Kentucky Barn Smoker back this year. They didn't have the Kentucky Barn Smoker last year, 2023. A lot of people were bummed about that. Me being one of them. Kentucky's my favorite barn smoker, just because it's always been. It was my first barn smoker. It just holds a special place in my heart. And while the venue isn't the prettiest and the city isn't full of as many exciting things as you get to experience when you go to New Orleans, or when you get to go up to Hartford, or you go down to Orlando, or even it's kind of on par with nightlife around Pennsylvania, because you're still a little over an hour away from Philly. Kentucky's just special. It's called the Barn Smoker because it originated at the Kentucky barn where they smoked the tobacco. And the Barn Smoker looks a lot different even from when we started going in 2018. 2018, 2017. The event has changed drastically, and it's a whole lot different than what it used to be. It's changed a lot for the better, but it's still kind of a down home, um, you know, good old boys kind of feel, where some of the other ones feel a little bit more swanky or popped up. This one's definitely gets that southeastern U.S. vibe. Um, no, none of the other Barnsmokers really capture anything like that. And now, Charles Adamson, you got to go. Um, uh, I'm sure you can back me up, but it just definitely felt like a good old. I mean, almost like a family reunion. It's just a good time to sit back, relax, and have a good time and chill out. There's not a whole lot of stuff to do. You can do the Bourbon Trail when you're gone from the Barnsmoker event itself. It's just a good time. So I really enjoyed the time. Um, Sounds like the kids had some old school learning. Oh yeah, now that my kids weren't as happy about it as I was, that they didn't have internet, because we still got books, and books work when there's no power. And it just so happens that Jackson is a second grade student. My wife's a second grade teacher at the same school that he goes to, so he got to continue some education while all of his friends didn't. Now it wasn't inundated, 9 to 5 or anything like that, but he definitely he definitely got a little sassy about having to do schoolwork. I haven't seen any emails about damage to the farm, so I assume it's okay. I believe just a lot of water, aka rain, was what I heard in Kentucky. Um, how could you have heard that in Kentucky? I guess, who would you have heard that from? With the Drew State Boys? Kentucky will always go down as my first Barnsmokers, or go P Face. Happy to see you as well. Got to see old P Face at the Barnsmoker. It was the first person that I actually got to see. And then right after seeing P Face, got to see old Charles Adamson. Saw Jordan Young. Got to see Hunter Otts. Got to see a few handfuls of people as well, that I hadn't seen since the Kentucky Barnsmoker. I was hoping to see Bob Ellis, but he didn't get to go this go around. So it was sad to not have time with old Bobby E. But if BTCG is there, it's the place to be. Screaming Eagle hospitality was first rate. Um, um, you know, we did not end up getting to go down to Screaming Eagle, because what we actually ended up doing was a whole lot of fun. We've never done this before, as the cast and crew who get to work the Barnsmoker every year. We actually grilled out Saturday night on the grills at the hotel. Um, Drew Estate bought a bunch of meats and vegetables and all sorts of stuff, and Enfon and Drew Estate Rayford and Carabella got down, and they made their famous Drew Estate street tacos. And I tell you what, that's some of the best tacos I've had in my whole entire life. Now, it might have been because I was just that hungry. It might have been the vibes and just how great everything was going. It might have been just because they were the best tacos I've ever had in my life. You had a guy who's from Chicago who lives in Miami, and goes to all sorts of Michelin star restaurants. You've got a guy who born and bred and lives the Houston culture. And then you have Carabella, who's out in California, that West Coast California dreaming vibe brought to all the food. And I'll tell you what, it was a fantastic time. So we never ended up getting to go to Screaming Eagle just because we were thrown down on a grill. Good evening from Sammy Flo, my boy, the barber and cigar. How's it going? How you doing? I see you're going to be doing an interview on Tuesday over on the Instagrams, I believe, right? The Screaming Eagle is uh, a great cigar lounge. They've got a large humidor now. It used to be pretty small, but now they've got a nice sized humidor and a lot of seating, some pool tables. And I hated that we weren't ever able to get out to go to the Screaming Eagle stuff that they had going on. Usually we end up going down there both of the nights. That's where I got to hang out with Hunter Otts a couple years ago, and he gave me the Rocky Patel A10. It was a great time. What was it like in the VIP tent? Hot is what I experienced when I got to walk in there. And that was one of the concerns they had, was that the VIP tent wasn't going to be as cold as they wanted it to be with the air conditioners. And when I walked in there, they just had fans blowing. And every time I saw Charles Adamson, he was out underneath the main barn chilling under there because it was nice and chilly in there. And you could see the TVs and you could see everything that was going on. Where's Bob the Cigar Guy? I don't know. I have no idea. He was here in the studio earlier, and then he went down to the house. So I don't know if he packed it in early to go to sleep, go to work, go back to work tomorrow, or he had stuff to do down at the house. But Bob the Cigar Guy, it's just Chief for Chief Talk tonight. Charles Adamson, Peter Jones says it was not him. But no, it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. I loved being back. That was my first Barn Smoker of the year. Not being able to go up to the Connecticut Barn Smoker this year. Kentucky was my first. And I'll be at the Florida Barn Smoker in just a few weeks. How many weeks is that? Because that's 3 weeks. Wow. Yeah. So I have 2 more Chief Talks. And then I just see on here that on November the 7th, which is the Chief Talk we probably won't do, is Supremo Tobacco's birthday. November 7th. Justin Hunter, welcome into the show. How are you doing? Glad to have you here. Sammy Flo, what you got? What you got smoking tonight, Sammy Flo? Feels so discombobulated. I didn't put my ashtray where I normally have it. Doing good. Happy to see you're smoking good. Yeah, Pappy Van Winkle, baby. Pappy Van Winkle, Family Reserve, barrel fermented. I had to smoke it. First show back from the Kentucky Barn Smoker. It's got a little bit of that Kentucky smoked tobacco in there. So had to do it right. Had to do it justice. I thought Bob was going to take me out when I walked up and told him who I was. That's funny. Underground 10 because I don't have it. I didn't have it this morning. How's the weather up there, Sammy? It's cold here. It's got to be freezing up there. The food and vibe in the saloon was great. Like Chief said, too hot, and I had to keep going outside for a cool-off break. I did think about jumping on some of that charcuterie board while I was in there. But I figured since I was running around with that camera, it's probably not a good idea. Now, I will say, this is some of the best food I've ever had at a Barn Smoker. They had a chicken sandwich. It's like a Nashville hot chicken, but with a barbecue sauce on it. That was banging. And then they had a chorizo. No, not chorizo. What do they call those things that are churro? They had a churro stick ice cream with pistachios on it. Holy crap. Freaking good. It doesn't sound like it would be good. It was incredible. Ronald Smith, trying to get a flight to the Florida Barn Smoker. Everything seems booked. You guys are booking already? Every time you say Justin Hunter, I feel like I'm in trouble. My first name is Justin. Great combination for being back from the Barn Smoker. Oh, absolutely. I got the Pappy hat on. I got the Pappy cigar. Why not? This is not technically a Roma Craft t-shirt, but Sean, who works for Roma Craft, it's his company. So kind of a Roma Craft t-shirt. About 40 right now. Nice fall in the day. Well, nice fall in the day while with the sun, but once it sets, the chill gets cranking. The food was money. Yes, sir, it was. Is it better than a Savage Feast? It's different. I wouldn't compare the two. Um, Savage Feast is strong Liga tobacco. This is super smoky tobacco with that Kentucky Barn Smoker feel vibe, with a little bit of that pappy sweetness on the smoke palette. They're just two completely different cigars. I wouldn't choose one over the other. If I had them sitting beside each other, I would just kind of choose like what was I feeling at the moment. Do I want something that's going to kick me in the teeth, or do I want something that's going to sit me down and smoke me out for a while? So the choro is diarrhea. What the food? What is it better than Savage Feast? Oh, the food. No, because Savage Feast was like a full on dinner, right? That was like a dinner event with cigars around it. So no, it wasn't better than the Savage Feast. But it's the best barn smoker food I've ever had in my life. I won a prize at Screaming Eagle on Friday night for the oldest guy in the room. I'd rather be young. I saw the guy posted on Facebook that you ended up giving it to him. That you were just that close to being that much closer to being older than him. That was funny. I love how they did the giveaways this year, being able to put your tickets towards what you wanted to win. I think they did a really great job. Again, this is my first barn smoker of the year, so it was all new for me. Now, obviously, there's some things that are kind of the same, like as many things change, some things stay the same. So there were a lot of things that were kind of the same, but there were a lot of things that were different this year for barn smokers. So I'm excited to see how it works in Florida, because Florida's always been the one for me that's like I've always wanted to change a lot of things about it. So I'm excited to see what changes there are in store for. Sorry. I don't happen to be in a largely Spanish affluent community. So choro. I call it chorizo at first. I do know that chorizo is like spicy sausage. I did see a TikTok that was kind of funny, where a guy was upset because he bought soy chorizo, and he was like, I bought this because I thought the soy meant I am, because he's like, yo soy, whatever. So then that was funny because I had to take enough Spanish to realize that, yo soy, whatever. So that's like funny. He thought, oh, I'm going to buy this because it's saying I'm chorizo. That's funny. Number one thing to change about Florida, the Friday pre-party. I saw that they're doing that again. I actually sent it to Jay Bates, and I was like, guess who ain't going? Because that's such a long drive. Soy boy sausage. Uh-oh. I don't know if I want to know anything about that, Gary Brooks. Brian, you don't know what it would do to my heart to have you at a barn smoker. It would do me something good. Let's see. Ronald Smith, Sammy Flo, Larry Epps, Mike Pfeiffer, Justin Hunter. Thanks for hitting the like button over on Facebook. Not just the drive is going to be packed. No, you're right. And that's the thing. It's like once you get there, like the Corona Sand Lake location is a dope cigar shop with like the amount of stuff that they carry within the humidor. But the interior sitting space is small. The outdoor seating space is extremely limited. So you end up having to stand outside in the parking lot, and you've got cars buzzing around the parking lot. it's just not a. It's only. I imagine it's only really fun if you get there super early. Because so many people come to the Barn Smoker, and for the people who don't go to the Barn Smoker, they want to go to the pre-party because they can see, like this year they're doing a pre-party event with Pedro at the event. So like you don't have to go to the Barn Smoker, to you don't have to have a ticket to the Barn Smoker to see Pedro at Corona Cigar. And Corona Cigar Sand Lake location is already bumping as it is. So you got to get in there and you got to fight with the locals and the regulars to find a seat, find a spot. So I'm sure they have it penciled in on their calendar. All right, get to the lounge an hour early. So it's just, for me, I'd rather just bring enough cigars to sit and smoke while I'm at the hotel. I don't know. That's just me. The Trader Joe's soy chorizo is the bomb. Don't knock. I'm not knocking. I'm just saying it was a joke on TikTok. I saw it. I didn't make the joke. We should have Matt come down. Not that far of a drive for him. It's a lot less of a drive than it was for me to drive from Travelers Rest to Kentucky. So, but I'm looking forward to it. Florida Barn Smoker. It does feel weird just going to 2 this year. 2022, you had the Savage Feast year where you had, 5 events. You had the 4 Barn Smoker locations, and then you had the Drew Estate Savage Feast location in Texas. So that just, that kind of felt like it was boom, boom, boom every other month or so. And then last year we just had 3 events. It was like, oh, it's nice. You got a little bit of time in between the events. It's not super back to back to back, but it's nice. And so this year, while they have had 3 Barn Smokers this year, I was not the first one. So it does kind of feel weird that I've had my first Barn Smoker just a couple weeks ago, and I'm gonna have my last Barn Smoker of the year in just a couple weeks. So I am looking forward to it. That's the that's the only time I get to see a lot of my boys. Jay Bates, Chris Reeves is saying, it's the about the only time I ever get to see any of the Michigan Road Dogs. Now I did get to see Ronald Smith here in the studio, so but for the other Road Dogs, for Sammy Flo, for a lot of people that are in and around the helping of Barn Smokers and events, that's about the only time I really get to see any of those guys. So it'll be the last time I see those people for a while. So I'm looking forward to it. But I'm also going to be looking forward to just sitting and hanging out and chill with my friends. I'd love to be going to Florida too, but I had to choose just one this year. Well, I'm glad that you got to do Kentucky. I feel, again, Kentucky's my favorite. But yeah, I feel like you can't say you're like a Barn Smoker fiend if you haven't been to the Kentucky Barn Smoker. So that's the origin, that's the inception, that's the birthplace, that's the barn, that's the only barn that smokes for the Barn Smoker locations. The only one that could theoretically also have a hand in that, you could say, would be Louisiana, because they have some of the smoked tobacco down there putting in the Perique barrels for the Perique processing. But yeah, they don't do Louisiana either. I haven't done Louisiana in a long time. Not that it was Louisiana Barn Smoker is a fun barn smoker because you're right there outside of New Orleans, but the Barn Smoker location itself, kind of weird. They have to bus you in. You can't just park. They have to bus you in. But you need to dedicate some time to go to a Barn Smoker instead of the smoke-in thing. You need to go to a Barn Smoker. You need to experience that. You should have gone to the Kentucky one. You could have done the Kentucky Bourbon Trail all the way back home. But no, um, that's pretty much. I think we're caught up. I think we're caught up on everything. Um, yep, talked about the hurricane, survived the hurricane, made it through it. We just finished talking about the Kentucky Barn Smoker. That's pretty much it that I've got. Always fond memories made within the hurricane. I feel like I haven't talked about it in a week after talking about it almost every day. It kind of feels like I haven't talked about it in so long. Peter Jones, Kentucky was awesome. I can't say it was my favorite since it was my first one. I can't wait to do another one. My buddy Dave loved the Bourbon Trail on the way home. Nice. Um, Peter Jones, if you're going to consider doing another Barn Smoker next year and you want to do a different one, this is how I rank the Barn Smokers. Kentucky, for me, this is my personal ranking. I mean, not shadow myself out. Kentucky, Connecticut. That's like 1A, 1B. Like it's a very very close thing. Like, again, the 1A being it was my first, it's kind of nostalgic for me. Connecticut is the most beautiful venue location. And then I'm going to put Pennsylvania and Florida as like a 2A, 2B. Um, Florida has a better surrounding life, like with Orlando, Kissimmee, all that kind of stuff. If you're doing a family trip, you can do Disney, Universal, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to like farm, like the Pennsylvania farm's a bigger farm. It's more open. Um, I like the vibe of that farm. You know, you've got the Amish up there. You get to see that whole Amish experience. The best at the Pennsylvania Barn Smoker. Florida's great because again, you have all of the life that's surrounding, but Florida is super hot. Even though they moved it to November, even last year they moved it to November, it was still hot. Now this year, it could be different. We could catch one of those nice chilly weeks in Florida. Um, Got to get Sam to bed. I'll try to get back on. We might be here. Um, Go to bed, Sam. Um, so yeah, I would say now that you've done Kentucky, if you're looking to do another one that's not Kentucky, I'd say go do Connecticut if it's available next year. If Connecticut's not available next year and Pennsylvania is available, I'd say do Pennsylvania. Um, and then round out with Florida. If they ever do Louisiana, if they bring back Louisiana, Louisiana is still at the bottom of my list. It's awesome being down near New Orleans. Like when we went in 2019, it was a whole lot of fun. Really enjoyed um, the New Orleans scene for what we took of it. Like I have a lot of fond memories of the time in New Orleans. That's the only time my wife's been to a barn smoker. But the barn smoker location itself is kind of a weird spot. The processing facility that they process the tobacco is just a big warehouse that doesn't have a whole lot in it. So it's like it's not it's the least aesthetically pleasing event out of any of the barn smoker locations. It's a great event still, but like you can't park at the farm. You've got to park at an area. It's like I think a church, and then you get on a bus and they bus you down to the farm or the processing plant. Um, so I would say if they do bring back Louisiana, um, if it's at the same location, I would put that last on my list. Brian wanted to know when's the next Highland Games event. It'll be sometime next year. Earliest will be March. They have some Highland Game events that start in February, but they're kind of far away from me. So I was supposed to throw that weekend that the hurricane came through. I was supposed to throw my second games of the year this year. So I've been training all summer for since the first Highland Games that I threw in. But that did not happen because of the hurricane and the storms and all of the craziness they brought. But yeah, it'll be earliest to be next March. Hunter Ott says he'd like to go to Connecticut. It's a beautiful, beautiful venue, and Hartford, Connecticut's a cool spot. One of my most favorite parts about the whole entire Connecticut experience is the airport to the hotel to the farm are all like 15 minutes within each other, if that. It's the closest venue for out of any of the barn smokers. Kentucky's not so bad with like where the hotels are versus where the farms are. Florida, it's like 40 minutes from the hotel to the farm, 30 minutes from the airport to the hotel. And if you go from the farm to Corona Cigar and you get caught in traffic, it's going to take you 2 hours. Pennsylvania, when you fly in, you got to fly into Philly, and then it's an hour drive over to Lancaster. And then Kentucky, if you fly in to Nashville, it's a 45-minute drive to an hour drive up to Hopkinsville. So Connecticut, I love Connecticut. I love that. I'll probably do the Great Smoke virtual next year unless I make a trip out of it with my wife. We have friends in Palm Beach. Ooh. I did the Bourbon Trail on Sunday. Had to pace myself. Almost too much tasting of that cask strength. Ooh. I was surprised to see the Amish around MB Roland. Yeah, there is a small set of the Amish community that kind of comes into that part of Kentucky. Because I guess it was our first night. Yeah, Friday night, we were leaving the restaurant to go back to the hotel. And I saw a horse and buggy coming down the road. And I've seen the horse and buggies. I've seen the Amish. I've seen the Amish on their little one-wheel push scooters and all that kind of stuff at the Pennsylvania location. And even at the Connecticut location, I'd never seen the Amish in the Kentucky location. And so I pointed it out to my mom, and she's never seen the Amish on a horse and buggy before. And so she kind of freaked out. Oh my gosh, I've never seen that before. That's so cool. That's awesome. So yeah, it was kind of cool to experience that with her for the first time. Pretty neat. But I was a little desensitized to it because I've seen it more up at you see it a lot at the Pennsylvania Barn Smoker. The Pennsylvania Barn Smoker, they bring the Amish out there to have, like if you, like when they did the DE25 event with the pre-party the night before, like they had a bunch of Amish out there just dancing and having a good time when the bands were playing. Thanks for your insight. I'll keep that in mind. We were originally going to try and do the family reunion. My dumb butt overslept when tickets went on sale. I heard a lot of good stuff about the family reunion. I didn't go, so I couldn't tell you whether or not I would rather do one over the other. If you're looking to do the Kentucky area next year and they do the family reunion again, and you'd rather do that than a barn smoker, go for it, man. Tell me all about it. I'd love to hear more people talk about their experiences with the family reunion. But yeah, if you want to do a barn smoker and you want to do a different barn smoker, Connecticut is the way to go. Unless you want to save the best of what's left for last, then do Florida or do Pennsylvania. Or I hope those come back. I know we've done 3 barn smokers, or Drew Estate's done 3 barn smokers a year for the past 2 years. I don't know if they're going to do 4 or 5 next year. I know they're doing their West Coast situation thing next year. So I don't know what barn smoker season is going to look like. And that's not me being coy. That's me saying, like, I don't ever know anything until, like, the week they announce it. So glad it happened that way, though, since you weren't at the family reunion. Absolutely. Love getting able to see you and everybody you had with you. That was a lot of fun. I always love, that's my favorite part of Barn Smoker, is just getting to connect with people that I've met here, like Charles Adamson. I saw Charles a couple years ago at the Florida DE25 event. Hunter Otts I've seen. I saw him at Florida last year. Florida? Year before Florida? Last year, Florida. Seen him in Kentucky. Jordan Young. Seen him a few times in Kentucky. Bob Ellis, who's not here tonight. Seen him in Kentucky a few times. They ain't going to be ready for you. No. Drop the heat. Drop the guns. 3 buggies and a couple of bicycles on the road to MB Roland. In fact, Roland bought the property from an Amish dairy farmer. Jay, our resident alcoholic, hit the MB Roland distilleries right after the walkthrough on Friday. They almost didn't make it to dinner on time. Actually, I think you guys were late. We were supposed to meet at 8. 7? 8. 7. 8. And you guys weren't even there. And the hotel was right across the road. Not that it really mattered because I had to put us on a 30-minute wait list. I was glad I got there 15 minutes early to put us on the list. Wishing you all a good night. Supreme Tobacco. Love you, Habibi. Have a good night. Enjoy your time with the family. And hopefully the food's just as good. But no, I don't think I've ever taken the time to like actually walk through MB Roland at all. I've been a handful of times. In fact, the first year they ever had VIP was 2019. The VIP dinner was at MB Roland inside the old dairy barn that is now, I guess they do bottling in there now. I don't remember what they do in there. They changed it up. It used to just be a big open barn, but that's not the one that's kind of on the hill. That's like the original Rick House. And then the last time we were there in 2022, they had that big black building down in the hole a little bit. It's, I guess, the new Rick House. But that was a lot of fun. George was doing his hair. Holla at George. But I don't know. Maybe the next time we're up there, I'll take some time to go up there and just enjoy the MB Roland experience. I'm not a big, like, I love drinking bourbon. Like, I enjoy it, but I don't drink a lot. Like, these bottles just slowly get emptied out over time. Very slowly. And so it's like, for me, I'd love to go on the bourbon trail just to experience it and go on it and, taste whiskeys from place to place to place and do all that kind of stuff. But like just buying bottle after bottle at every stop, like I'm gonna have to have a GoFundMe set up to be able to do that. But hey, if you want to see that next year, we'll have to figure out a way to get that sponsored and do a whole Bob the Cigar Guy chief excursion of the Bourbon Trail and cigars. Just gotta get it sponsored though, because that's a lot of money. Not even just the travel. But I think that'll pretty much wrap it up for the Thursday night, October 17th Chief Talk. Again, we got over 20. We got to set our streak back. I know there's a little bit of continue. What are we going to do about the whole hurricane night? Only getting to 16. Are we going to count it or not? We had a lot of people who didn't make that night. Mac Berkson wasn't here. Charles Adamson wasn't there. Adam Wolf wasn't there. There were a lot of places that didn't. A lot of people, a lot of faces that didn't make it. Got cheated. Who got cheated? The Yankees. Are the Yankees playing the Tigers or something? Is that what it is? But no, we'll end out the stream there. Thank you all for hanging out with me. It's been a good time. Actually, before I go any farther, I do want to make sure give proper due to our show sponsors, Drew Estate Cigar and Quality Importers. Now, I am reaching out I have already reached out to some companies for the possibility of sponsoring content Chief Talk or reviews or Chevetta Report or whatever it is, we're looking to bring on some brands. I don't think we're losing anybody. So don't think that we're going down the Mayday pit yet. Just want to be able to bring in some more. Obviously, sponsors mean you can do more, you can give more, and we want to be able to give back to you guys through content and giveaways and all sorts of stuff like that. So, if you didn't get to see my Facebook post the other day, and you're my friend on Facebook, go find me on Facebook, find the status, and tag your favorite companies that you want to see sponsored the Bob Cigar Guy, Chief Talk Empire, and maybe we'll get their attention, and I can send out more emails throughout the rest of this week, tomorrow, and into next week. As they're, I want to get these emails out now while they're starting to think about their budgets for next year, talk about their budgets for next year, and it's going to be fresh on their mind. But we do want to say thank you to Drew Estate Cigar and Quality Importers for coming alongside and partnering with the show this whole entire year so far. Looking forward to many more years with both of them leading the way through the Bob Cigar Guy and channel stuff, through Chief Talk, through Chevetta Report. Well, let's see. Peter Jones says Nashville was awesome. Louisville was a ton of fun too. We can't do a first lady giveaway until we get some sponsors in, so we got to figure out some of these sponsors in the flow. Have a good night, y'all. Have a good night, everyone. Good night, everyone. Have a great weekend. Can't count if the admins are there. Arrived a little bit late. Catch you next week. No worries, Sean Carly. Happy that you showed up. If you want to watch the show back, as soon as the show ends, you can go back live. And yeah, that's it. That's the show. So thank you again to Drew Estate Cigar, Quality Importers, making sure that we have the show every single week. And come over here. I'm going to turn this old music off, and I'll see you next week.
Have you checked out ChevettaReport.com? It's the newest cigar media outlet to keep you in the know with all things cigar lifestyle related. From press releases to reviews, we have it all covered. Be some of our first members to join ChevettaReport.com and be a part of the next step in the cigar culture. ChevettaReport.com.
Time to relax. Whew. Man, I'm beat. Whew. What are you doing? What are you doing here? Show's over. Go home. Go home. Show's over. What are you waiting for? You waiting for another show? This is a one-ticket entry. Go. Bye. Go. Go. Go.